Hey everybody, welcome to Landscape Rescue. My name's Stuart Moore, and I have to admit, I haven't really had that good of a couple of days. It's been rough on me, and I thought to myself, how can I cheer myself up? I'm gonna do a Lowe's plant shopping video. All right, had a subscriber comment on the last video, the one where it was like a dark and gloomy day and we did some Lowe's shopping there, asked me where he could find an ornamental willow. Here is a weeping willow right here. Looks like it's in a 5-gallon pot. They have it priced at $34.98. That is a really good deal, especially for as fast as these things grow. Just remember to keep it watered. That's the cool thing about weeping willows. You can't kill it by overwatering it, so water the snot out of it. One of the subscribers asked in the comments that they would like to know more about edibles. I think they were talking about plants. Lowe's has got blueberries. These blueberries are called Brightwell blueberry. I love blueberries just for the aesthetics. I think blueberries have the prettiest fall color. Well, right up there with the other shrubs that we plant for fall color. I think blueberries are right there, and they flower. They look like coral bells to me. They have these little tiny coral bell flowers. I don't want to pull a flower off because that means there's not going to be any blueberries for that. It's like stealing somebody's blueberry if I pull a flower off. And as long as they get pollinated, they're gonna have blueberries. Pretty cool. Now they have these priced at $32.98. They are very mature specimens, so I don't know if that's a good price or not. I'm not really, I guess, in the know when it comes to blueberry pricing, but they're in a 5-gallon pot. Seems like a pretty good deal. Now I have had to plant blueberries before, and we had very good success. The company I was with, I did all the research and I figured it out. I basically dug a giant trough in the ground and I put the plants in it and I filled the entire trough with peat moss. Back then you could get a bale of peat moss, 3 cubic foot bale of peat moss for like 13 bucks. It was a pretty good deal back then. Filled it up with peat and they were very happy. They did very well. I might have thrown some 2-year fertilizer tablets in there, but more edibles. I think we're still talking about plants. This is the Heritage Ever-Blooming Raspberry, hardy for our zone, -20 to -30 degrees. More stuff to eat. A hardy fig. Let's get some information on this guy. There's no information on this guy. There's just like a picture of a fig. 10 to 20 feet tall, 10 to 20 feet wide. It's a ficus fig, whatever in the world that means. It kind of looks like an oak leaf hydrangea, a little bit. That's what I thought it was at first, until I saw the picture of a fig. Maybe we'll just put that on there, because they have almost no information. This is called Beer's Black Fig, and they have it priced at $22.98. It's not super tall. This is good to, I had to ask Lord Google. There was zero information on this actual tag. It just said how tall it got. I do like the idea of figs, because figs are delicious, especially when you wrap them in cake and make a little sandwich out of them. Nice. There's like 3 different varieties of figs here. It's really cool. I kind of like the idea of that. Now I just need to figure out how to grow cake. All right, here I'm laughing because I almost fell right before I hit record. I'm graceful like a gazelle and tough as cotton candy. All right, so here's some grapes. Thought that was kind of neat since we're on the kind of the edibles bandwagon here. And this is Catawba grape. And they've got these in a little 1-gallon pot. They're priced at $24.98. I don't have a hardiness zone. Hold on, let me ask Lord Google. So this Catawba grape is good in zone 5 through 8. So a lot of us would be able to grow this. Through my diligent research on my phone, kneeling in a parking lot, I found that they are good for wines, grapes, jams, and jellies. Delicious. Look at all this deer-resistant stuff. It's like somebody should bring their deer-resistant magic stick and start just tapping stuff. I feel like maybe that video might be coming this week at some point. As soon as my deer-resistant stick gets out of the shop, it blew a flux capacitor. Don't ever let a good tragedy go to waste. We have had snow, we have had freezing temperatures every night. It's been a little rough. But the good thing about that is, boop, 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 we get a couple racks of clearance. So let's dive in. So the first thing I notice over on the clearance rack is there's a lot of just damage, freeze damage. There's some of these wax leaf begonias that, I actually pulled out the one that looks really good. There's a flat in here that looks like it got microwaved, which happens. I did think this was kind of neat. So they've got these little dahlias here in this little pot. They're gonna be $4 a piece, but they're ever blooming, right? So even if they get kind of scorched right now, and to tell you the truth, it depends on your lows, it depends on their management team, but I bet you could just get these out of here for cost. They would probably let you do that. You just need to go talk to somebody. So those of you who are new to the channel, I come from a long history of negotiation, and then when I got into making YouTube videos, that didn't go away. I just negotiated, and I sometimes can get better deals on clearance stuff. My strategy is I take all of them. Let's just say over here, I see these African daisy, right? So the African daisy in this pot is $14.98, which is gonna take us into that last tier, I believe. Nope, those are gonna be $7 a piece. Pretty good deal for if you're gonna treat stuff as an annual, especially something that mounds as well as they do. The way I look at it, I pay $7 for these, or I could just kind of step out of my comfort zone a little bit, talk to the manager of this department and say, hey, you have 2, 4, 6, 7 of these pots. If you let them go for $4 a piece, I'll take all of them. So the more that they have, the more they're willing to just get rid of, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You have 10 of them. I'll pay $4 a piece for them, but I'll take all of them. Sometimes they say yes. I've even had them go, I'll sell them to you for $2 a piece if you take all of them. And I say, deal. I have been out of it a little while, so my contacts have waned. I don't have as many contacts here as I used to. Here's some columbine that look a little banged up. Now these are originally $6.98. That is going to take us into that middle tier, the third tier, which is gonna make these $4. And $4 is not necessarily a bad price. I just don't want to pay $4 for something that I'm gonna have to kind of nurse back to health. I would rather them be in good enough shape to where I can just cut them back and they're gonna come back on their own. And I think that's where these would be. Columbine that's a pretty tough perennial. One more thing that caught my eye was these big buckets of dianthus. You remember we've seen these a couple times on the channel when they were at full price. Now, normally these are $24.98, which takes us into that 5th tier, which would make these 50% off. Well, at 50% off, that's a lot of dianthus for 12 bucks. That is a lot of dianthus. You could have a lot of fun with this. There's 4 right here. That looks like all of them. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big pill to swallow, but I'll reiterate how chunky, how the mass amount of dianthus in here, and they're perennial. Hey, this is kind of neat. Mandevilla blooms really, really well, and as long as you're cool with like bringing it back in the winter, if you live in a zone that is not compatible with mandevilla being outside or not, which if you did, you probably live in Costa Rica, and you're probably way too busy enjoying life than to watch my videos. I don't have a hardiness zone on here. Oh yeah, I do. 30 to 40 degrees. So anything below 30 or 40 degrees, your mandevilla won't overwinter outside, but you can bring them inside. Now these are normally $34.98, which takes us into that last tier, which will make these 50% off. And I think $34.98 is a pretty good deal for a lifetime investment, because that's what you're gonna make. Or if you can buy them on the clearance rack and you can just enjoy them until the season's over and then throw them in the garbage. You could do that. Here's a tropical braided hibiscus. So can you see that braided trunk? This is actually a really nice size. Now this is normally $40. There's no tag, so I have to go off of memory. When I say go off of memory, I mean 15 seconds ago I found one that had a tag and I looked at it, which is gonna make this 50% off. So still, you know, 39-ish normally, and then on the discount rack, that's a pretty good deal. Now I have had very good success with, in my younger years, just bringing these in. It's a nice plant, especially if you live in an apartment and you can just kind of roll it out onto your patio and just have something to enjoy. So it's a very inexpensive, like entry-level plant if you just want to plant for your balcony of your apartment. Well, I think that's it for the cleaner tractor. These move. There's some hyacinth in here, part of one of those big bundles that for 10 bucks a piece. I don't know. I like getting hyacinth bulbs. Okay, let's go back into the garden center. There is plenty of stuff to talk about. They're really stocking up. They're starting to fly, and I like that. I can't even walk 10 feet without running into a plant I want to talk to you guys about. I'm nosy. I've worked in the nursery for the past decade, so I'm not squeamish. Lupine. We don't get to see lupine very often. Now, lupine is pretty cold hardy, like to negative 40 degrees. Let me just double check to make sure I'm not an idiot. Negative 40 degrees, yeah. Anyway, zone 3, you can grow this all the way down to zone 3. I'm a huge fan of lupine. I kind of went through this like obsessive period with lupine, but I mean, let's face it, who hasn't in their early 20s gone through a period where they were obsessed with the lupine plant? This is a smaller variety. This is mini gallery pink bicolored lupin. 16 inches tall by 10 inches wide. So that's just like a little delicate guy. I kind of like that. I wish I knew when they were, I was really into those patriotic ones, you know, the red, white, and blue ones. I mean, kind of a patriotic guy. But these, I really like these. So these are gonna be pink and white, and I think we're gonna go ahead and get a cart. Let's go get a cart. I saw some sweet potato vine that got burnt by this frost, and I thought at $3.48, it'll be $2 a piece. It's like $1.50 off. I don't necessarily think that I like that deal, but I wanted to investigate a little bit, and I wanted you guys to come with me. I also found some bleeding hearts. No, I didn't. Found more columbine. Okay, so I think I'm gonna take 3 of these lupine. These are $9.98 a piece. No one buys them because nobody knows what they are, but I'm pretty sure when they start flowering, people are gonna snatch them up. So I'm gonna get some now so I don't miss out. Let's take a look. Is this in Tiny Invader? Tiny Invader Asiatic Lily. It's just getting ready to pop. So I'm assuming whoever names these doesn't have his finger on the pulse with the plant community, because Invader is probably not a good idea to name your plant. Tiny Invader. Whew. Okay, we've seen these before. This is Back to the Fuchsia Salvia. Look at that. Look how pretty that is. Oh yeah. Smells like herbal refreshment. We've had a lot of comments about these because I put a short out of some older content. Just to break down how the shorts work. So the shorts are supposed to be just a nice little handshake between me and somebody who hasn't seen any of the videos on the channel yet. Nice little handshake. Hi, this is my personality. We'd like to have a lot of fun on this show. It's designed for you to click and watch the main video that is the source for the short. I love you guys, and I will, as long as I can do it, answer every comment, even the mean ones. I'm answering questions like, what happened next? So did you end up getting those? And click on the video. You watch the video and you'll see that I got them. But what I'm talking about is these blushing Ruffles daylilies. Now, some of those videos were a couple years old, but I got a bunch of these in the front yard right now, and they're almost, well, they're about half this size coming out of the ground right now. And I bought a bunch. I think I bought like 16 of them or something crazy like that. And I got them for a really good deal on the clearance rack. And so now they're looking really, really good. So I'm excited. But these are the Blushing Ruffles Daylily, and normally their normal price is $8.48. Now we're gonna talk hostas, because there is a ton of hostas that I'm seeing. So let's just dive right in. I don't know what's here yet. I think I see some guacamole over there, but we're gonna talk about it. So this is the Shadowland Autumn Frost. Look at that one. Look how pretty that is. That's a good looking hosta. Now there is Shadowland must be a series, because I really like the Shadowland Woo, W-U, La La. It's a sport of the Empress Wu, and it's a Shadowland. So the Shadowland must be the series. So this is hardy to zone 3 through 9. It's a medium grower, 12 inches tall, 12 to 16 inches wide. So that's the Shadowland Autumn Frost, and it's got that yellow variegation, which is going to show up really well. The next one is the Shadowland Hope Springs, which has got kind of a crinkled leaf on it, which is very neat. I do like hostas, and I think a subscriber and I were talking about this, is that big hosta beds, he really didn't admire that design aesthetic until he saw it in person. And he sounds like a landscaper to me, but he said, when I saw that in person, then I decided. And the same exact thing happened to me. I knew how to divide hostas because I grew up with a plant person. My mom and dad were both plant people, so we divided a lot of hostas, and we spent a lot of time. My dad was in the military at the time, so he would get the weekends off, and on the weekends he would spend a lot of time outside working in the garden and things like that. My mom was more into growing the food. My mom was more into growing the ornamental side. Wildflowers is what her specialty was. But this one is a medium grower, 22 inches. Yeah, very, very pretty. When I first saw somebody planting hostas en masse, it blew my mind. But I think the difference between me and some other people would be, wow, that's really pretty. And in my head, it was, wow, that's really pretty, why? Why does that work so well? And I think it was just a combination of so much similar textures. You know, hostas, they're not that much different. So you don't have an epileptic fit looking at a huge group of hostas, right? Because they all have very similar characteristics. It works very, very well. We got the Katy Perry hosta, the forbidden fruit, normally $11.98. So that's full retail. These are still on the rack, so it's a retail world we're living in right now. Good to negative 40 degrees, and they're 18 to 24 inches tall and 18 to 24 inches wide. It's been my experience with hostas, I don't necessarily get the width the first year, but I usually get the height. Some Dr. Earth and some 2-year fertilizer tablets, that's all I do, and then I just make sure they get plenty of water, because these do need the agua if you want them to get to their full size. This is the guacamole hosta. That's a real pretty one, and I'm familiar with the guacamole. I think it's an 18 to 24 too. Yep, 18 to 24 by 18 to 36, so a little wide. The Royal Standard, I think, is almost identical to that. Let's look. 18 to 24 by 18 to 24, so a little skinnier. Pretty much looks like a standard hosta. Francis Williams is, to me, has a wider leaf, and it's going to be the same, 18 to 24 by 18 to 24. Is that it? Maybe. I thought I saw a sub and substance in here earlier. Maybe I got to do some parkour. Parkour! Oh, I could have just came through here. Smart. Sub and substance. Yep, I knew I found one. Now this is one of them big boys. These are my favorite hostas. Well, one of my favorites. You know, I like the big, giant hostas, like T-Rex and, you know, Big Daddy. Yeah, those are the good ones. Woo la la, the Empress Woo. So this is a sum and substance hosta. This has been around for a while, guys. This is not a new hosta, because it always astounds me every time I read the height and width on these. More the width. They don't get super tall. Oh, that's not right. It says 24 inches wide. It gets way wider than that, to the tune of like 6 feet. I'm gonna check Lord Google real quick. The sub and substance hosta.
According to Dutch Grown, height and spread grows to an impressive height of 2 to 3 feet and spreads 3 to 6 feet wide, making it one of the largest hosta varieties available. Flowers.
Shut up, Google. Anyone asking you? All right, so I was right. They're on the smaller side of the spectrum, which might be able to bite you if your sub-substance hosta gets six feet wide and you really didn't have that worked into your design. It's a kind of a plain looking hosta, but it does do a very good job of creating mass, and it does a very good job of filling spaces, which is important because a lot of times our shade gardens are there to disguise the fact that we can't grow grass. I think that's probably gonna do us. I've got those 3 lupine. I'm gonna take those home and plant them. I'm not really ready yet, but I'm gonna do it because I don't wanna lose the opportunity to try those out. I'm gonna have to do another video with you guys here because they got a ton of roses in. There's some bicolored roses that I really wanna talk about. Thank you very much for stopping by and spending some time with me. My name's Stuart Moore, This is Landscape Rescue, and thank you very much for letting me into your home to talk about plants.